There's a plant you can grow in about 4 square feet of garden bed that sells for more per pound than almost anything at a farmer's market. I came across it by accident 3 winters ago when I was trying to figure out what to do with the shaded corner of my raised bed setup. And then there's number 8 on this list. Something most gardeners treat as a pest problem, rinse off their water features, and throw away. It turns out that same thing is being studied as a high-protein food source, and early growers are selling it for $50 a pound. 20 backyard ventures, ranked from the ones that can generate a steady side income to the ones that, if you build them right, can replace what you're making entirely. I've spent the last 2 years researching all of these. Some I've tried, some I've spoken to growers about directly. Every number here is real. Every market exists. What most people lack isn't access to these opportunities. It's the knowledge that they're there. Before we get into the list, one thing worth saying. Most people approach their backyard as a space to maintain. The lawn gets mowed. The beds get weeded. Maybe there's a tomato plant or 2. What I want to show you today is how the same space looks when you start asking a different question. Not what do I want to grow, but what does the market actually need that I can produce here? That shift in framing is where these 20 ventures come from. None of them require a farm. None require commercial equipment. All of them have real buyers who are already looking for what you be producing. The ranking goes from high potential to truly extraordinary. Stay through to the end. The final 5 are where the numbers start to get unusual. I started a small microgreens tray setup in my garage, mainly to see if the economics were real. They are. Microgreens, the seedlings harvested 7 to 14 days after germination, are selling for $25 to $50 per pound at farmers markets and to restaurants. The input cost is almost nothing. Trays, growing medium seeds, and a light source. A single 10 by 20 tray can produce a pound or more product in under 2 weeks. Run a few dozen of those and you have a genuine recurring income stream. The market exists because high-end restaurants use microgreens for plating and flavor. Juice bars want them for nutrition. Farmers market customers understand the health benefits and they pay for them. A 10 by 10 foot space, managed well, can generate $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Scale that to a garage and the number becomes serious. The barrier to entry is low. The learning curve is short. What held most people back from this was the assumption that small things can be valuable. But the price is set by demand, not by size. Oyster mushrooms, shiitake, lion's mane. These aren't specialty items anymore. They're in health food stores, on restaurant menus, and appearing in supplement form. The price range is $12 to $25 per pound, and the market has been growing steadily for years. What makes mushroom farming particularly well suited to a backyard setup is that you're not farming in soil at all. You're farming in substrate blocks, sawdust, straw, coffee grounds, stacked in a shed, a garage, or a large closet. The footprint is small. The yield per square foot is extraordinary. Start with a few dozen blocks, learn the process over 1 or 2 grow cycles, then expand. Local restaurants and farmers market customers are often actively looking for reliable local suppliers. Most gourmet mushrooms in grocery stores are still imported or shipped cross-country. Local freshness is a real competitive advantage here. This is the one. Saffron, the crimson thread harvested from Crocus sativus, sells for $2,000 to $10,000 per pound. Not a typo. Per pound. It outprices gold by weight in most market conditions. The reason for the price is the harvest. Each flower produces just 3 stigmas. Those are the threads, and they must be hand-harvested within hours of the bloom opening. It takes roughly 75,000 flowers to produce a single pound of saffron. The labor is real and the window is short, which is why the price is where it is and why Iran and Spain have historically dominated the supply. But here's what most people don't know. Crocus sativus is a hardy bulb that grows in many temperate climates. It blooms in autumn, off-season for most garden crops. A serious backyard operation running a few hundred square feet of densely planted beds can generate tens of thousands of dollars from a short, focused harvest window. The domestic market for traceable, locally grown saffron is significantly undersupplied. Plant the bulbs. Let them naturalize. Harvest in autumn. Dry the threads carefully. Sell at prices the reputation of the product already justifies. The global herbal supplement market is worth over $150 billion. And one of its open secrets is that most of the raw material is still imported, inconsistently processed, and poorly traceable. Domestic growers who can supply reliable, organic, high-quality material are in genuine demand. Ashwagandha dried root sells for $25 to $60 per pound. American ginseng, Panax quinquefolius, commands $300 to $600 per pound for mature roots. Holy basil runs $20 to $45 per pound dried. You're not growing for grocery stores. You're growing for supplement manufacturers, herbal tea companies, wellness brands, and direct consumers. These buyers prioritize quality, consistency, and traceability. Exactly what a small, dedicated grower can offer better than a large import operation. Ashwagandha grows well in dry temperate conditions and can be harvested in its first year. Holy basil thrives in warm climates with multiple harvests per season. Ginseng requires patience. Roots take years to mature, but the market pays accordingly. This is one of the most elegant business models in horticulture. You take one plant, you propagate it into 10, you sell 9, and keep 1 to start again. Repeat indefinitely. The cost of propagating a cutting or division is often a few cents in substrate and time. High-demand plants, rare houseplants, native species, heritage fruit trees, edible perennials, regularly sell for $15 to $200 at farmers markets, garden centers, and online. A single mother plant of a sought-after variety can produce dozens of cuttings per year. I've sold propagated unusual hostas at a farmer's market for $25 each when a local big box store didn't carry anything close. The margin on a cutting that costs you next to nothing is difficult to find in most other businesses. Start with a few dozen pots in a backyard greenhouse or a cold frame. Build your inventory over season. Watch what sells. Reinvest in more variety and more mother plants. Within a year or two, you can be running a nursery that generates real income. A single hive doesn't just produce honey. It produces beeswax, propolis, and royal jelly, each with its own separate premium market. Raw honey sells for $12 to $25 per pound. Beeswax runs $10 to $20. Propolis, the antimicrobial resin bees use to seal their hives, sells for $30 to $70 per pound in natural health markets. A productive hive can yield 30 to 60 pounds of surplus honey in a good season. 2 or 3 hives, managed well, can generate $3,000 to $8,000 annually before you've thought about value-added products. Beeswax candles sell for $15 to $40 each. Propolis tinctures and lip balms fetch extraordinary margins in natural health retail. There's also a fourth income stream most people don't think about: pollination services. Some beekeepers charge $150 to $200 per hive per season from local farms and orchards. 3 income streams from the product, 1 from the service. Coturnix quail begin laying eggs at 6 to 8 weeks of age. Each bird produces nearly an egg a day. Quail eggs sell for $3 to $6 per dozen at farmers markets and specialty grocers, 3 to 4 times the price of chicken eggs. High-end restaurants pay more for consistent, locally sourced supply. A dozen quail can be kept comfortably in the space required for 2 chickens. They're quiet enough for suburban environments. Feed conversion is excellent. The income cycle is dramatically faster than almost any other livestock venture. A backyard operation with 50 to 100 birds can supply a local restaurant account and generate $500 to $1,500 per month consistently. Scale to a few hundred birds, and you have a real income stream requiring only a couple of hours a week. Most people default to chickens. Chickens need more space, generate more noise, and produce a commodity product. Quail produce a premium product in a fraction of the footprint. A single doe can produce 40 to 60 offspring per year. Rabbit meat is lean, high protein, and increasingly sought after in health-conscious and farm-to-table markets. It sells for $8 to $15 per pound at farmers markets and through direct restaurant sales. What makes rabbit particularly suited to a backyard setup? They're nearly silent. They require minimal space. A well-designed hutch system can house a productive colony in a 10 by 20 foot area, and their manure is perhaps the most garden-ready fertilizer you can produce. It doesn't need to be composted first. Even the waste is saleable. And here's the part most people haven't caught up to yet. Rabbit is a staple protein across Europe and is growing rapidly in American markets as consumers look for sustainable meat alternatives. Farm-to-table restaurants seek rabbit specifically because it's a story ingredient. Diners want to know where it came from, and local is always more compelling than the alternative. You're not competing with industrial producers. You're serving a niche with passionate demand and almost no local supply. Stay with me on this one. Black soldier fly larvae, Hermetia lucens, are 40% protein and 30% fat, a nearly perfect nutritional profile for fish, birds, and reptiles. The aquaculture industry, the poultry industry, and the reptile pet market are all actively seeking sustainable high-protein feed alternatives to conventional grain-based feeds. Demand is growing faster than supply can meet. The production system converts organic waste, food scraps, spent grain, vegetable trimmings, into harvestable larvae in 2 to 3 weeks. Your raw material is essentially free. A small colony can process pounds of waste daily. Live larvae sell to backyard chicken keepers for $5 to $15 per pound. Dried larvae go to the pet industry. Residual frass, the waste the larvae produce, sells as a premium garden amendment. 3 income streams, all from what most people throw in the bin. Early movers in this space are building customer relationships that will become increasingly valuable as mainstream awareness catches up. Escargot sells for $20 to $40 per pound live. The demand from high-end restaurants is consistent and largely unmet by domestic production. Most escargot served in American restaurants is imported from France or Eastern Europe, which means local, fresh snails are a premium product chefs will pay significantly more for, and they'll pay more still for the story of a local, sustainable producer they can name on the menu. Helix aspersa, the common garden snail, is one of the primary edible species. They reproduce prolifically in a contained environment. They eat vegetable scraps, leafy greens, and calcium supplements. The setup requires little more than a sheltered enclosure and humidity management. They're essentially silent. The business compounds itself. Your starter population reproduces to grow your inventory. Once you establish relationships with 2 or 3 restaurant buyers, you have predictable, recurring orders. That kind of revenue visibility is rare in small-scale farming. Aquaponics is a system where biology does the accounting. Fish produce waste that feeds plants. Plants clean the water that goes back to the fish. 2 income streams sharing the same infrastructure. Tilapia, catfish, and perch are the most common food fish in commercial aquaponics, selling for $5 to $10 per pound. But the real money is often in the plants, lettuce, herbs, watercress, specialty greens, that turn over in weeks at premium prices. A 500-gallon fish tank paired with grow beds can produce hundreds of pounds of fish and thousands of dollars in greens per year. The learning curve is real. Getting the biological balance right takes attention in the early weeks. But once the system is established, it runs with remarkably little input for the output it generates. The market story sells itself, grown without pesticides, without soil, using recycled water. That a narrative that supports premium pricing at farmers markets, with restaurants, and with CSA customers. Separate from aquaponics, pure backyard fish farming, tanks, ponds, or raceways, is a straightforward venture with strong returns. Tilapia can be raised to harvest weight in 8 months. Catfish in 12. Both sell for $5 to $10 per pound. But ornamental koi are in a different category entirely. Premium koi sell for $50 to $500 per fish. Championship quality specimens go for thousands. Koi keeping is a passionate hobby community with serious money behind it, and quality domestic breeders are consistently in demand. A backyard pond system can be built for a few $1,000s and stocked to productive capacity within months. The income channels are diversified. Direct consumer sales, restaurant supply, and the ornamental pond market each represent viable paths. Most people think of fish farming as an industrial-scale activity. Intensive recirculating systems and well-managed ponds produce significant yields in small footprints. This is the one from the hook. Wolfia and Lemna species, what most gardeners skim out of their water features and discard, sells for $20 to $60 per pound dried. Duckweed is 40 to 45% protein by dry weight, higher than soybeans, higher than most conventional animal feeds. NASA studied it as a potential food source for long-duration space missions. Now, supplement companies, aquaculture operations, and animal feed producers are catching up to what the space program already established. You can grow significant quantities of duckweed in simple tanks, tubs, or a garden pond. The inputs are minimal: nutrient-rich water, sunlight, warmth. It can double its biomass in 24 to 48 hours under optimal conditions. The yield per square foot of water surface is extraordinary, and the market is significantly undersupplied. Because most people still treat this plant as a problem to remove. The applications are growing. Protein powder producers want it. Aquaculture operations use it as fish feed. Specialty pet food companies are experimenting with it. When you can expand outward, expand upward. A hydroponic vertical system stacks growing levels to multiply yield from the same floor footprint. Leafy greens, lettuce, spinach, arugula, basil, sell for $5 to $15 per pound and can be harvested every 3 to 4 weeks in a well-managed system. Stack 6 or 8 levels of growing trays in a controlled space, and you've multiplied your yield 6-fold or 8-fold without using another inch of floor area. A 4 by 8 foot vertical rack with LED lighting and automated watering can produce 50 to 100 pounds of greens per month at $8 to $12 per pound selling direct. That's $400 to $1,200 per month from a single unit fitting in a spare room or garage bay. Farmers markets, CSA boxes, local restaurants, and food co-ops are all underserved by local produce suppliers in most communities. Fresh, locally grown greens with no pesticide inputs command premium prices from buyers who understand what they're paying for. Icenia fetida, red wigglers, convert organic waste into 2 separate premium products. Worm castings, one of the most nutrient-dense soil amendments available, and the worms themselves, which sell to fishing suppliers, composting operations, and educational institutions. Premium worm castings sell for 50 cents to $1 per pound in bulk. Bag for the retail garden market. They command $10 to $30 for a 5-pound bag. Red wigglers sell for $20 to $40 per pound to bait shops and gardeners starting their own bins. A productive worm bin can produce hundreds of pounds of castings per year with minimal input beyond food scraps and cardboard. And here's what makes this business compound. Your workforce reproduces itself. Red wigglers roughly double their population every 60 to 90 days under good conditions. The more you invest in building the colony, the more it produces in both castings and saleable worms. Your raw material is organic waste. The margin structure on a bag of castings that costs you almost nothing to produce is difficult to match. Every restaurant, grocery store, and landscaping operation near you is paying to dispose of organic waste right now. And simultaneously, every gardener, landscaper, and urban farm is buying soil amendment at premium prices. The gap between those two realities is the business. Premium finished compost sells for $30 to $80 per cubic yard in bulk, and significantly more when bagged and branded for the retail garden market. A serious backyard operation, receiving free organic inputs. Food scraps, spent brewing grains, coffee grounds, yard waste, from local businesses can produce thousands of dollars in finished product from essentially zero raw material cost. Local matters here. Customers want to know their compost came from clean, identifiable inputs, not unknown industrial waste streams. A backyard composting operation with a story, a brand, and consistent quality can command prices that large industrial operations can't match. Turning something with negative value waste into a product that sells for $50 a yard is straightforward value creation. This venture requires almost no physical infrastructure, just knowledge, a network, and access to the right genetics. Rare heirloom seeds sell for $3 to $8 per packet through mainstream channels, and significantly more for truly rare or difficult-to-source varieties. A single prolific heirloom tomato plant can yield enough seeds for hundreds of packets. The production cost is close to zero. The margin is extraordinary. The market has multiple layers. Homesteaders who want open pollinated varieties they can save year after year. Survivalists building complete seed banks. Gardeners seeking varieties unavailable at any garden center. Chefs who want unusual vegetables for their restaurant gardens. Each of these communities is passionate and loyal to suppliers they trust. Build a collection of truly rare varieties. Grow them out carefully. Package them professionally. Build a following on platforms that appreciate what you're doing. Online marketplaces for rare seeds are underserved, and sellers who develop expertise and a reputation for viable, authentic genetics build loyal customer bases that are extremely durable. Around 80% of cut flowers sold in the U.S. are imported from Colombia, Ecuador, and the Netherlands, which means local flower farmers supplying the wedding and events market are operating in a premium niche with almost no domestic competition. Specialty cut flowers, ranunculus, lisianthus, dahlias, peonies, unusual sunflowers, sell for $1 to $5 per stem at wholesale, and considerably more in retail and event design contexts. A backyard quarter-acre planted in specialty cuts can generate $20,000 to $50,000 per year through direct sales to florists, wedding planners, and farmers market customers. Wedding florists are actively looking for local, seasonal, unusual flowers they can use to build distinctive arrangements their clients can't get from a standard import supplier. Get known by 2 or 3 florists in your area and you have a customer base that books months in advance. That kind of forward revenue visibility is rare in small farming and genuinely valuable for production planning. Bonsai is a backyard business that rewards patience in a way most businesses don't. A well-developed specimen shaped and trained over several years can sell for $200, $500, $2,000, more for exceptional pieces. And the process of getting there, while requiring time, doesn't require constant labor. The value model is unusual. You invest time and attention, not just capital. Each year that passes adds value to your specimens without adding proportionate cost. A 10-year-old bonsai is worth dramatically more than a 5-year-old one, but it didn't cost 10 times as much to produce. The value accumulates inside the tree. Entry-level bonsais suitable for beginners sell for $30 to $100 and represent a volume business that finances your longer-term inventory. Intermediate pieces from 3 to 7 years sell in the $100 to $500 range. And as older, more developed specimens mature, they become the high-ticket anchors. Pieces that collectors will pay extraordinary prices for. The market is global. Online platforms have removed the geographic ceiling on your customer base. Ghost peppers, Carolina reapers, chocolate habaneros, rare heirloom chilies. These command prices that would be unimaginable in conventional vegetable farming. Fresh ghost peppers sell for $10 to $30 per pound. Dried and powdered rare chili varieties reach $50 to $100 per pound. And demand is accelerating as hot sauce culture, culinary exploration, and the global chili market all expand. You cannot substitute a ghost pepper with anything else and get the same result. That irreplaceability drives premium pricing that has no ceiling in the specialty market. Fresh peppers go to high-end restaurants, specialty grocery stores, and farmers market customers. Dried and powdered forms go to artisan hot sauce makers, spice companies, and direct consumers. Value-added products, fermented hot sauces, chili oils, smoke powders, multiply your revenue from the same raw material. Specialty peppers grow extremely well in containers and raised beds. A 10 by 20 foot raised bed planted intensively with super hot varieties can produce hundreds of pounds per season. The market rewards choosing what nobody else is growing. 20 ventures, all of them accessible. Many startable for a few $100s. Most manageable on weekends while you build towards something more. The thread running through all of them isn't a specific crop or animal. It's a way of looking at your outdoor space and asking what it can actually produce, not what it's currently used for. Limited local supply, strong demand, something you can grow or raise better than an operation on the other side of the world. That intersection is where these businesses live. Some of these will suit you immediately. Others might be a 5-year project. A few you'll dismiss, and then revisit in 2 years when someone near you is doing it quietly and well. I spent a lot of time dismissing microgreens before I actually looked at the numbers. The backyard hasn't changed. What changes is a question you ask it. If you're thinking about any of these, or if you've already started one, I'd genuinely like to know. Drop a comment below. Are you drawn to the plant side, the animal side, or the soil side of this list? I read everyone. If this kind of content is useful, the subscribe button is right there. And new videos go up each week on exactly these kind of practical backyard economics.